episode 6 of Ahsoka. It didn't have a title.
It does have a title. Title is awesome. It's the best title. It's Far, Far Away.
I thought I put. Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't see the title when I watched the show, so I just put Thrawn going to give it to you, which I thought was actually pretty good.
That's a pretty good title.
Yeah, we'll adjust it in a show.
You invited a special guest for the end of our Ahsoka series.
I did.
So I'm retaliating, and I've got a special guest with us right now.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I'm going to let you intro yourself.
Hey, I'm Gedeon Maheux, and I'm one of the owners of Iconfactory.com. I'm also a designer by trade. I design icons and emoji, and I'm a big Star Wars and Star Trek fan. I love science fiction. I used to have a science fiction podcast back in the day called Sci-Fi Cast, and haven't had that in over 10 years, so old hat. But thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here. We're excited to have a guest, and I think there's so much to talk about with Ahsoka and the Star Wars and what Disney's doing and everything else. Is pretty great. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Jay usually kicks us off with a quick recap, usually not accompanied by sound effects.
It usually has lots of sound effects.
Let's see how it goes this time.
All right. So we opened up in episode 6 with the space whales farting their way to another galaxy.
They're star whales. We were calling them. Why were we calling them space whales? They're star whales.
I like it better. And I like the idea that their butts are causing them to fly real fast. And Ahsoka and our man, what's his name? Robot Dude? We're such a professional podcast.
I can never pronounce his name.
I always forget his name. Yeah, that's it. They're kind of talking and sitting and waiting. And meanwhile, while we're waiting for them to get to the other galaxy, we have this great final arrival of Thrawn. So we have Sabine. We have the evil Jedi dude and his apprentice. We have the Space Witch. And we have Thrawn who shows up. And there's also some other space witches there, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. I want to get to that in a little bit, but they don't like Sabine at all, which is just kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Thrawn shows up in a Star Destroyer that looks like it's a little customized, and he has his whole troop of stormtroopers, which are called the Night Troopers, I think that's called. And
did they say that?
Yeah, I had to do a little digging.
Oh, you had to do some digging, okay.
Yeah. But
more Japanese flavor.
Yes. As you know, these guys have been in that other galaxy for a long time. They look like they've seen a lot. So their stormtroopers get up is kind of like rigged up with like bandages and wrapped up, which is kind of cool. And we have
that's where the Japanese stuff comes in. That's kintsugi, where they've repaired their damage with gold.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you notice, the Star Destroyer is also repaired with gold metal.
Oh, that explains Captain Inuk, which is played by my boy Wes Chatham from The Expanse and other stuff, which I'm super excited about. I don't like that he's wearing a mask, but I
don't know who that is.
Because you don't watch The Expanse, Mike. Gideon, have you watched The Expanse at least?
No, I have not. I'm sorry.
Oh my god!
I tried. I gave it a go, but I didn't get very far.
Give it another go. It's really fun. Anyway. So the Thrawn keeps his word. Thrawn and the evil Jedi dude keep their words to Beam. They let her go to go find Ezra, and they give her a little rat horse dog or a dog horse rat. I'm not really sure what it is. Mm-hmm. And she runs off. They give her weapons, which I thought was crazy, and she runs off to go find him. But then Thrawn says, hey, go chase her, and when you find Ezra, just kill them all. Just kill them. Right? And everybody's like, okay, fine.
Right.
She has to fight some bandits. She follows some Ninja Turtles to a camp. She finds Ezra. He's got a beard, which I want to talk about in a little bit. She's Sabine, so she doesn't tell people what she needs to tell them, which is also kind of frustrating. Meanwhile, Thrawn and his crew are offloading stuff from the Witch Temple into the Star Destroyer before they can leave, but we're not sure what he's taking, so that's going to be interesting.
That was a deal. That was the deal that he made with the three witches. That
we don't know what
transport
it is.
Something for them.
I'm really curious what that is. And kind of that's it. And that's it. And Thrawn, they realize that that Ahsoka's coming, and Thrawn wants all the information he can find on Ahsoka to get ready to deal with her. And is it going to be Ahsoka versus Thrawn and his entire armada of bad dudes? I don't know. It's going to be crazy. But really interesting episode. Mike, I'm curious what you thought of the episode, and then I want to hear, of course, where I guess has to say too.
Yeah, this has been a roller coaster for me. We've got up episodes and down episodes. For me, I thought this was kind of an up episode. I liked it more than the average Ahsoka episode. And I think if I was going to pick an episode, like out of all of the episodes in the series to show in the theaters, maybe I would have picked this one instead of the last one. I don't know.
I think they all look pretty epic. So I'm curious if they.
I mean, this one has a Star Destroyer in it, so I'm thinking,
the Star Destroyers are smaller than the Super Star Destroyers that we've seen. Like we saw in Empire Strikes Back that Darth Vader had. He had a Super Star Destroyer. It was really big, that big black thing.
Yeah.
But this still looked massive,
Oh yeah.
And Thrawn and his team still looked, And
it has a good introduction too.
Yes. Thrawn and his team.
Like at first, what's her face thinks that she's doing the Force, and nope, it's just a big Star Destroyer shaking things up.
Yeah, which is pretty funny. Gideon, what do you think?
It's tricky because I've enjoyed the series overall, but there's parts of it that I've really just have let me down. And although I kind of agree with Mike that this one is one of the better ones, I enjoyed this episode probably because, it introduced Thrawn and we got to go to a galaxy far, far away. And we saw the cool planet with the Purgle boneyard orbiting around the planet. That was pretty neat.
Awesome.
That was pretty cool, yeah.
And we finally get to see the witches, the actual witches, not a descendant of the witches. And they were featured highly in Rebels and Clone Wars.
Oh, see, Jay and I haven't watched either of those. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of, if we're going to have a criticism of something, this series really, really hinges a lot of it on you having awareness of what happened in Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars, but particularly Rebels.
You watched both of those?
Yes, I've watched all of Clone Wars and all of Rebels,
but it's still kind of uneven for you. I've heard some people say that, like, even if you watch those two, you still don't know what's going on in this one.
You know what's going on, but it's hard to care about a lot of what's going on. It's just the way that it's paced and written, and it's tough. It's not as action-packed and it's not as urgent as I would have wished it could have been.
Right.
They really do take their time setting up stuff. It's taken 6 episodes to get to Thrawn. There's only 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So they're going to pack a lot of stuff into these last 2 episodes, I hope. But, I mean, seeing Thrawn was cool, even though he did look like a blue Elon Musk.
Oh man! I hate that you said that.
But I do think that the actor Lars Mikkelsen is really good. The makeup aside, I think he's a great actor, and I don't want to. If one of the tests I have for a villain is, do I want to be in the same room with them? And I do not want to be in the same room with this dude. Like I would not want to be anywhere near him. Like Balin, Skull, or even Shin Hati. I could hang out with them and play cards and hang out.
No doubt.
But Graham with all, I'm like, this dude's kind of creepy. Yeah, I don't like this dude. So Gideon, I have a question. Like, we haven't had a chance to talk about this because we haven't watched Rebels or the Clone Wars at all. So I have 2 questions. So I'll just start with this first one. Do you think that what they're doing as far as taking those two series and then bringing them into like this real kind of live action and then using them as a backbone for new canon, do you think it's working? Do you feel good? Or do you feel like it's missing some components?
Well, that's a tricky question, you know? I mean, if you go online and you look at the feedback that this series is generating, it's obvious that it's hitting a lot of the right notes for fans. After every episode, I go on Mastodon and stuff, and I read about what people are saying on the Ahsoka tags and everything. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them just love it. You know, they love it. They love that their favorite characters like Sabine and Chopper and Hera are being brought from animation into live action, you know, right. and admittedly, it's pretty damn cool. You know, I mean, this is why Filoni wanted to make the series. He wanted to take what he did in Rebels and do a live action version of it, really. And on that level, it's pretty great. You know, I just wish the story there was more guts to the story. I wish there was more character development. There's no character development. Like I said this on Mastodon last night, like we're now 6 episodes in and we know nothing more about Ahsoka now that we did when the series started. Mm-hmm. And even the episode where she met Anakin, which everyone was like, oh my God, it's Anakin, you know, it didn't reveal anything about her. It didn't teach us or move her character forward. It rehashed stuff that she did in the Clone Wars. Now, if you haven't seen the Clone Wars and you haven't seen Rebels, then yeah, it's all new and might be very, very cool. And you know,
I mean, that was my perspective, but I got absolutely nothing out of those sequences. I couldn't figure out what the heck Anakin was trying to teach her.
Right, exactly.
Jay told me what he thinks Anakin was trying to teach her, but Anakin didn't tell me that. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. And
go ahead, Gideon.
I just want to go back to that real quick because that was a long-awaited reunion for fans and everything. They did reunite Ahsoka and Anakin in Rebels, which was really epic and awesome. And I highly recommend watching those episodes because they are some awesome Star Wars. But they're much more dramatic, much more, on the edge of your seats type stuff than they were here. And the way they played it in Ahsoka just was wrong. Like, she didn't even ask Anakin, like, what happened to you? Why did you turn to the dark side? Why did you do all of those evil things? She didn't even pepper him with questions. She didn't inquire. She didn't want to know. If she had the opportunity to be with Anakin, she would have asked him and find out, why did you kill those younglings? Why did you destroy the Jedi? She must have wanted to know that, but they didn't go into anything like that.
It's a curious decision, I think, too. Like, I feel like the show's pacing and tone has been consistent from episode 1 to 6, and either you like the tone and the pacing, or you don't. For me, I've kind of enjoyed it. I'm not sure how to explain it. It's just, I'm probably basing this off of some terrible MCU shows that we've seen, especially Secret Invasion, because we just watched that, and it's like, ugh. But also kind of like The Mandalorian a little bit too, where it's just like there's a lot going on, and I feel like it's like, okay, I have to keep up. But this is like everything's just kind of going nice and slow for me. I've actually kind of enjoyed it. There's been some times where like the scene where Thrawn shows up and he's walking over that bridge, they just let that breathe. They're like, we're just gonna let this play out. And even the
it's
time
okay to do that, but it's not okay for half of your series to be that.
Yeah, I can understand why you might not like it. I think it's either you like it or you don't, and I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. I think it was just a decision where either you're enjoying this or you're not enjoying this, and I think, and that's fair. I've been kind of blown away by how much I've liked this, and I'm hoping that episodes 7 and 8 are going to finish it off, and we're going to all feel pretty good. But from a narrative standpoint, for them to take the stories from Rebels and Clone Wars, bring them into live action, and then kind of hoping it works. I'm almost to the point where I want to go back and watch those, even though it's so. And that's one of the bad things about it. Clone Wars and Rebels. That's so many shows. That's so.
It's a lot.
Much
There's a lot of episodes of the Clone Wars, and I mean, even Rebels, there's a lot, but not as many, not nearly as many. If I had to make a recommendation, I would definitely say watch Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go back and cherry pick the episode of Clone Wars that you want. But all of Rebels is really worth it. It is absolutely some of the best Star Wars out there at all, completely. I mean, season 1 takes a little bit to get going and it feels a little kiddie, but once it starts going near the end of season 1 to the end, it is a big, epic Star Wars ride. And it is the reason why fans are so rabid about Ahsoka. You know, it developed her, it helped her, along with Hera and Sabine and Ezra and Chopper and, you know, Zeb. All these characters became fan favorites because of Rebels, and it's well deserved because the writing on that show was amazing. I love Rebels. I love it to death. It's Clone Wars too, but it's just there's a lot of episodes, so you have to digest a lot of it to get through it. But here it's just so odd because it does not feel like the same characters. Like Hera is not written the same as she is in Rebels. Ahsoka is kind of the same. Sabine definitely not the same.
And yet it's coming from the same guy.
Yeah, and it's coming from the same creator. And I don't get that at all. You know, Rebels moved. Each episode of Rebels it felt like a Star Wars episode. It was like, let's go, let's have an adventure. Let's, blah, 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 and get to the story and have something dramatic happens and there's a battle and, it's very Star Wars. Here, it's like these 6 episodes are like one long, drawn out, slowly paced thing. And I mean, let me ask a question. Did you guys like or dislike Andor?
Man, Jay has not seen Andor. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was the best Star Wars thing I've ever seen.
Okay. And yet Andor was paced slowly, right?
It was right? Paced slowly, but you like they moved the story along. If each episode didn't have some kind of a arc or a conclusion itself, at least every third episode did.
Uh-huh. So what is the difference between Andor being awesome and Ahsoka being not?
I think I kind of know. I feel like, and this is just for me, I feel like if you watched Rebels and Clone Wars, you just want to, and this is just completely subjective, me thinking about this off the top of my head, you might want to just consume it as much as you can. Like, you're like, oh, I love this stuff. I want it into my body. And like, and it's going real, real slow. And you're like, come on, hurry up. I feel like it kind of reminds me of something I've watched before where I can't remember what it was, but I've seen stuff before. Maybe the Matrix stuff, that could be part of what it is. Well, I watched the original Matrix. I loved it. And then when Matrix Reloaded came out, I had a lot of problems with it because I was waiting so long for the sequel of it. And then when it came out, I was disappointed because, well, first of all, it was terrible. But also, it was like, I've always envisioned what this would be like. And now that it's here, I'm not satisfied. So
exactly.
And there's no way anyone at Disney, the writers, the production team, they can't
live
fix
up to those expectations.
There's nothing. So I think in a lot of ways, they're probably like, we just got to do what we want, which is good and bad. But, I'm curious.
Yeah, you said something that reminded me of how I felt while I was watching Secret Invasion. And I think Ahsoka has the same thing going on, where Secret Invasion and Ahsoka feel like they were written as a movie and then stretched out over however many episodes. They're not writing these shows like you typically write a TV show, where each show has to have its own treat inside of it.
Yeah, right.
The way, like Mandalorian season 1, every show gave you something.
Yeah, yep. This is not. And
Ahsoka, every show doesn't give you something. And I think that might be. When I'm watching TV, I want that show to give me something. In a way that I'm all there for a movie. Having letting scenes breathe and taking a while to give me something because I'm investing my time for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, or hopefully not 3 hours. But just with TV shows, I really need each show to give me something. And in this one, they drop the first 2 episodes. They take 2 episodes to tell the viewers that, hey, the bad guys are building a ring out on space, and they're going to use it to make a hyper space jump. And then the 3rd episode is another episode entirely wasted on now telling the characters in the show what the viewers learned in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is one of those times where not releasing all of it at once was a mistake. Because imagine if you could have watched episodes 1 through 8 nonstop and just been done with it. I think you would have enjoyed it a lot better. I think everybody would have. Because we didn't have to wait around. But now every week we're like, okay, next week.
Well, I think that goes along with the fact that sometimes we're not getting anything out of an episode.
Yeah, I feel like, I'll tell you this. This is, we had a little noise there. This is one of those times where I will tell you flat out, I will watch this series again. And I don't do that often. Like, I have other things I want to do. Like, I'm playing Starfield, and I cannot stop playing that damn game. It's like I have to do it. Have you guys started playing that yet?
I have not played it. I've been playing Zelda. I'm still playing Zelda, so.
Don't play Starfield. Do not. Just don't even touch it. It's like, don't do fentanyl. Like, you just don't want to do that. It's bad for you. But like, I'll rewatch Ahsoka. I really enjoyed it. But I do think, Mike, your criticism is valid. That these are not little small morsels. It's not a moose boost where you pick one up and you're like, ooh, I'm satisfied with this one. Let's go for the next one. It's like, okay, it's like a dinner course thing, and you have to go through the menu. But my hope is that episode, I really feel like they're going to land this ship real good. I feel like this whole thing's going to land, and we're all going to be very happy with the end of this. I'm curious who's going to die and who's not going to die, and what they're going to do moving forward. I'm also curious about Rosie. What's her name? Rosario Dawson. Yeah, Rosario Dawson's contract. I'm really curious why everybody loves this Shin Haiti girl for some reason online, which is starting to bother me.
She's good.
No, she's not. And I'm curious about what they're going to do with this moving forward, which will be interesting for everybody. But all those criticisms you guys have, I think, are pretty valid, especially from you, Gideon, because you've watched Rebels, you've watched Clone Wars. Gideon, would you have rather this be an animated series? Or do you rather they just not have done this at all?
No, not at all. I mean, I like most fans, I've relished the opportunity to see these characters again. Just to revisit them, whether they're animated or live action, probably really doesn't matter. Everyone, all Star Wars fans who are familiar with it, they love these characters, and especially Rebels fans. I have to say, like the episode with Chopper and Hera was great. I love that part.
I love Chopper. Yeah, I love Chopper.
But Chopper is a great character. He just is. And yet we only get him in one episode here. Hopefully we'll get back to there. But, there's so little of him in there. There's so little of Hera. There's just not enough there. They spend so much time out in space doing stuff that's just not related to this stuff. And
they might have missed what fans wanted. They might have missed some opportunity. I mean, that scene where Hera and Chopper are just flying and they're arguing between each other, that was hilarious. That was really
it was
fun.
Great. I loved it.
And so I think there is a fun factor in this that they're kind of missing. I'm hoping they'll get back to. But I mean, if you go back and watch The Mandalorian, that also has a couple places that's a little bit off. But what I like about Disney's Star Wars offerings right now is that they have a plan. It's a consistent plan, and they're doing it the way they want to do it. And versus the MCU stuff post Infinity War, they have no plan. They're just producing stuff, throwing it out there, and hoping it sticks. So I do enjoy the Disney stuff they're doing. Plus, the production values are really high. Plus, it looks really good. Plus, it's very stylistic. And plus, like, I'm starting to get those weird feelings I used to get when I watched Star Wars as a kid, where I'm like, ooh, I gotta have that figure with the gold helmet. Ooh, I got that guy. That guy's cool. Ooh, that guy's cool. And like, I really feel like, yeah, that's cool. And like, I kind of do want to go back and watch Rebels to see if I can get that too.
Yeah, that gold helmet guy. People on Mastodon were saying it's like Romanesque, but. Yeah, I guess like Samurai also had face masks like that too, right?
It's just cool. Like, I don't understand why we have to be.
No, it's super cool. Just like they're like, awesome. But like all the stormtroopers and the Star Destroyer, it's all like kintsugi. So I'm wondering if that's a reference to like Japanese samurai
I just looked
to go along with that, you know.
But I will say this though: when Thrawn showed up with the stormtroopers and it was all menacing, I started thinking these guys can't hit a broadside of a barn. It doesn't matter how many of these dudes you have. We're just going.
What do you think of the music? Like they played him in on where like everybody's chanting Thrawn, or the music is chanting Thrawn, and it's like super creepy.
Yeah, I want to ask Gideon a couple more questions about Rebels, if you don't mind, Gideon.
Oh, sure.
The first one is Thrawn himself. Like, give me some context for him. Like, is he a huge threat, as they're trying to say? Should Ahsoka do everything she can not to bring him back? Like, because we don't know. We never met this dude. But like, help us out with his minute. Is he on the same level of menace as Darth Vader? Like, how should we feel? Because you watched Rebels, so you know.
Yeah, and plus I read the Timothy Zahn books. You know, that's where he originated from, the non-canon books. And ever since he was introduced, he's been a fan favorite villain for a bunch of reasons. But the main one is he's not Force sensitive. He doesn't have the Force. He's not a Sith. He's just a normal, well, not normal, but I mean, he's just a being who has an increasingly intelligent military mind, and he is extremely dangerous. You know, he's pretty much the reason why the Empire was able to, subjugate part of the galaxy besides for the Emperor. He was one of the most successful military leaders in the Empire, and that's why everyone's afraid of him. And yes, in Rebels and prior to that, he was a badass, and he was the one that gave the rebellion the most trouble, including Luke Skywalker. He really was a bane of the existence of the rebellion. And the only reason why he didn't, go further with it is because he got banished to this other galaxy by the space whales. So yeah, he's a badass, and that's why everybody's been waiting for him to return.
Can you tell us about that? Like, how did him and Ezra get banished to this place by the Star Whales?
Yeah, in the end of Rebels, there's a climactic battle where Ezra is trying to save his friends, and it's really a trap by Thrawn. And Thrawn thinks he has it all figured out. He's calculated all the variables, and he's every way from Sunday he's won this battle. But then at the last minute, these Purgles show up and interfere with his plans, and he's about to take. They're about to take Ezra away and help save him, but Thrawn gets in the way, and they both get wrapped up. I can't remember if they get ingested or they just get wrapped in their tentacles or something, and then they get warped out, and they both get taken away, and they disappear in a burst of light, and no one knows what happened to them. Everyone assumes they're dead, but they're not really. Now we know that they got transported across the not even across the galaxy, to a different galaxy, which I think is pretty cool. That part of the story is neat, Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I liked how they tied that in with Huang Yang, I guess is how you say his name.
Yeah.
The robot.
David Tennant, yeah.
David Tennant, yeah, how he starts the story to Ahsoka
in a galaxy far
a galaxy, a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. And then that gets tied into the stories that is his name Skull?
Yeah, Baylan Skull.
Baylan Skull is telling Shin Hati later in the episode about like all of the stories, the fairy tales that he heard growing up at the Jedi Academy. And all of that was, I think that's the same kind of story that Huang Yang was going to tell Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Is far, far in a galaxy far, far away, for the people in this galaxy or in the Star Wars galaxy, is actually talking about the galaxy they're in now.
Mm-hmm. And two, Star Wars is doing a great job. They're not trying to compete with other sci-fi or fantasy stories. They're trying to kind of establish their universe, and they just kind of opened it wide up because apparently there is a connection to the Jedi in this other galaxy that they're at.
And so it's and that's what Baylan's after.
Yeah. So Gideon, let me ask you a question. We're not going to see any kind of like lightsaber battle between Thrawn and anybody. Like he's not like that, right? Good.
No, okay. He doesn't wield the Force. He's never done that.
He's never going to do it.
No, if they did that, then that would be something new,
Yeah.
In the books, though, he did have something really cool, which they never ever introduced outside the books. He always had a a creature, it was like a lizard creature called a Yelsari nearby him. And those creatures, they look kind of like giant chameleons, whatever. And their sole thing that he loved them for was they negated the Force. Like whenever you got near them, they were like a pocket in the Force. So if you were near one, you couldn't use your Force ability. So he always had one either on him or nearby him or whatever. So whenever a Jedi would try to attack him or hurt him or whatever, they couldn't do it because he had these Yelsari nearby. And so he negated their powers. That was one of the reasons why Luke could never defeat him.
I think it's really terrible that Disney was like, these old books aren't canon, but then they're like, but we're going to take a lot of the cool stuff anyway. Those books, I know people who have read a lot of those non-canon books and they absolutely loved them. So I felt really bad when I heard that they decided not to take them as canon. It's kind of sad.
Lucas didn't want to do that at all. He really refused, But then, of course, he sold Star Wars. He got rid of the rights to it, and now they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, that's how capitalism works. Last question before you start moving on to other stuff. Sabine, she just keeps making the wrong decisions, and I hope the show is going to help do some redemption stuff with her. But even the decision today of not telling Ezra everything, that should have been the first thing out her mouth. Like, hey, I'm here. This is why. This is how. Because they can start doing things. Instead, they're packing up with the Ninja Turtles going somewhere, which is it's a waste of time. What are they doing? Was she that frustrated in Rebels? Is Sabine frustrate me in Rebels?
Not at all. She was headstrong in Rebels, but she was never, not smart. She was very smart and keen in Rebels, and that's one of the reasons why I say she's not written like she was in Rebels. And neither is Hera, really. Hera is a shadow of herself that she was in Rebels. And Ezra, we haven't met enough to know yet. I mean, Ezra's just, hi, how are you doing? Hopefully next week we'll get to know Ezra better here.
Yeah, so the Sabine in this series doesn't seem like the type of person that Thrawn would recognize their name. But he does recognize her name.
He recognizes her.
Recognizes her together. She throws kinks in his plans in several ways in Rebels, so that's why he knows her.
Yeah. This Sabine doesn't seem like that type of person.
Sabine in Rebels, she wielded the Darksaber, and she does all kinds of cool stuff in Rebels, and I feel like I want to root for her more than anything in this world, but
I don't. Not after watching this show.
Well, she's going to have to do something to make us root for her, because right now it's just not there right now, and hopefully we'll see it. Maybe losing Ezra damaged her some way, but the show hasn't told us this, and I don't want to infer anything like that. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Yeah. Gideon, you've really helped us out, man. This has been fantastic talking to you about Rebels and everything else. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm not wrapping this up. I'm just letting you know.
I have one question. I do have a quick question though.
Sure, go ahead.
How long do you think Thrawn has been in this other galaxy? Like, how long in your non-Rebels information universe? How long do you think it's been since he and Ezra got thrown into this other galaxy?
I'm just going to say 15 to 20 years. Mike?
I mean, how old is Sabine? It can't be that long. I'm thinking 5 years.
That doesn't seem like right. How long has it been, Gideon?
I don't know for sure. I think it's somewhere between 5 and 10 years, at least.
I think 10 years. I think 10 years feels pretty good. 10 years works.
How old is Sabine, though? I mean, 10 years is like.
Yeah, but she was pretty young in Rebels. So
yeah, she could be in her late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ahsoka, I'm thinking that she is easily in her 40s.
Yeah.
But I mean, very skillfully and rightfully so, the shows aren't giving us any ages. That's the last thing you want to do.
Oh yeah,
and you don't want to give people any specific dates or anything like that because you don't want to mess up. Like the dirty secret of Star Trek is that star dates don't matter; that they make them up. Did you guys know that? Which is the dirtiest secret in the history of Star Trek. Whenever they do a star date, it doesn't matter what they're saying; they just make up numbers.
Yeah. So my question though is okay, if they've been gone for 10 years, let's just say they've been exiled for 10 years.
Yeah.
How does a Star Destroyer full of troops survive on an alien planet in another galaxy without refueling, food, support.
Well, apparently this planet is rich in gold. We know that. I don't know. The witches are hanging out there, but there's something driving them away.
Like Mike, I love Mike so much. Mike will figure out a way to theory craft his way out of a box.
It is rich in gold. I mean, how are they repairing this Star Destroyer?
Whatever he did, whatever Thrawn and the Star Destroyer did, it wasn't good. They're not going to show up and be like, "Hi, we're starving the troopers. Can you please feed us?" They're going to be like, "We're going to kill everybody and take their stuff." So, like, I'm pretty sure it was bad times. But talk about pacing. Imagine if we had episode just showing us the 10 years or so that Thrawn was gone and letting us know what they've been doing ever since. That would have been kind of cool.
I mean, when Gedeon was talking, I was like, why didn't they just write a story about Thrawn?
Right.
Maybe they will.
Not even while he's exiled, while he's in the thick of it.
Maybe they will. I don't know. Well, that's it for me. I don't have anything else to talk about unless you guys have anything going on. I think we got the show pretty good. Next episode, what do you guys want to see? Gideon, you go first. What do you want to see with the next episode? What could happen in the next episode that would make you feel good? Like make you like jump up and be like, yeah, I'm into this.
Well, for sure, Ahsoka needs to show up and teach Thrawn a lesson, and or she's got to rescue Sabine and or Ezra, get them out of Thrawn's clutches, and then find a way to, not let them jump back to our galaxy. But that's not going to happen because, of course, what this is all leading to is them all coming back to the main galaxy and Thrawn being a threat from now on, and building up a new empire and all of that. So this is part of the other problem with this series that I have, which is Ahsoka isn't leading. Her character isn't driving the story. She's following the story. She's always behind the people who are propelling the story forward.
That's a really good point.
She's not the one.
Sabine's mistakes are driving the story.
Right. It's not her, and it's her series. It's her show, and she wasn't even in this last episode. She was in this episode for like 3 minutes.
Right.
And so when you have that kind of arc or story structure, you're gonna feel unsatisfied. So what do I need with this last 2 episodes? I need Ahsoka to be front and center, to be the hero that we all know she is, and to demonstrate why she left the Jedi, why she kicked ass even though she wasn't a Jedi, why Anakin was pretty much afraid of her, at the end, and what she's going to do with Balin and Shin is her name. I can't remember.
Shin Hati.
Yeah, Shin. I get the sense that they're actually going to regret helping get Thrawn back. They're teetering. His little speech in this episode was like, I love the idea of the Jedi Order, but blah blah blah. So, and then Thrawn throws out this line like, we should consider them not, the allies that they.
Oh, well, yeah, he's like, they're dispensable for Thrawn. He doesn't care about them at all. And
they're going to find out that Thrawn's like, oh, we're going to leave us behind. And then they're going to turn, because they're mercenaries. They're out for no one but themselves. And
I'm not entirely sure that Balin's plan involves leaving this planet anytime soon.
Mike, what would you want to see?
Well, I'm kind of curious why Ahsoka's hyperspace jump is so much slower than the witch's was. Because at the end of this episode she's on her way now.
Yeah, but she was underwater and stuff for a while, so that ship was gone for a while. So they have at least a 12-hour head start on her, maybe longer. So that made sense.
Maybe, I guess, I don't know. It seemed like it was pretty soon after, but I guess you're right. She was in that coma underwater dreaming for quite a while.
It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a dream.
It seemed like a dream to me.
Fictional characters can't dream.
Whatever. Can Electric Sheep dream of something? I don't know.
No, they can't. That was the whole point of that whole story.
Really? Okay. All right. Bad reference on my part then.
No, it was good.
What do I want from the next episode? Jeez.
I want
Sabine to stop making mistakes.
That ain't gonna happen.
I'd like to learn. I've loved the mystery behind what Balin's trying to do. I think we got his overall goal in this episode, which is cool. I'd like to learn some of the details about what he's up to next episode.
And what's in those cases that they're loading?
So those cases,
yeah.
that's what, yeah.
What's driving the witches away from this planet?
Yeah.
Why are they trying to leave?
I want to see. I don't want it to be slow paced. I want to see a super high.
Yeah, I don't want another down episode.
Mm-mm. I want to see Ahsoka versus the might of Thrawn and his empire, and also this is going to be an episode where Thrawn gets to kind of show off. So we're going to see why we're to be so afraid of him.
I kind of think that we're going to get an episode where now we catch the Republican Senate up on what's been happening.
Maybe,
yeah.
It's gonna be good. I have high hopes about this, and I have actually. I've become kind of a fan of what they're doing with Star Wars. I'm into it. I just hope.
Well, don't go back and watch Kenobi.
I don't know. I might watch that. I don't know.
Don't go back and watch that.
Okay, I might watch some Andor, but I'm having fun, and I'm hoping that they stick the landing and they do it well. All right,
let's grade it. We always grade our things.
Oh yeah. Gideon, you go first. So.
Well, he wasn't prepared for that.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll grade it first. I'll give this episode a solid. I'll give it a B plus. I give it a B plus. It could have been a little stronger, but the downside about that is the meeting between Sabine and Ezra just didn't feel right to me. It just felt like, hey, come on, hang out with my Ninja Turtles. Okay, that's not.
I did like that new character though. That's a pretty cool species, I guess.
Yeah. That was cool.
I'm going to give it a B minus. So this is our closest grade so far, I think, for this series.
Yeah, I think it's even. Yeah, I've given it A's all. I've given it all A's.
It's definitely an up episode for me. It's not one of the down episodes.
This is a down episode for me. Which is interesting.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I've had 2 up episodes. I guess 4 and now this is 6, right? Yeah.
But I tell my students that A is excellent, B is above average. So it's above average. It's still great.
Yeah.
Gideon, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would give it a B. It introduced a whole lot of new things, which was interesting, and we got to visit places that we've never been before. And I mean, we learned about this new planet and the witches, and so. For the shock of the new, it was above average, and plus Thrawn was pretty cool.
Yeah,
if it had more action to it, then I think it would have been a B plus, A minus.
Yeah, we talked trash to Sabine, but she was able to beat up and kill a bunch of those dudes pretty effortlessly. So
she did have a lightsaber.
That fight scene was pretty awesome. If you watch back of it, it was actually
it was a really good scene. I think it's one of the better fighting scenes. But she did. She was losing until she pulled out her lightsaber.
Well, and I do like their reaction to the lightsaber too, because the one dude was like, he's standing there and she's slicing his staff in half, and then he's like, "What?" Like they had never seen a lightsaber before, which is totally possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually pretty rad. Yeah. All right, I've got some news you can't abuse. You guys ready? So this is our segment where we talk about news in the MCU. So there's the director of the Marvels is kind of complaining about the interconnectedness of the MCU, which a lot of directors have.
That's my bit.
Yeah. So here's a quote. She says, the overarching narrative is secondary to the narrative of the individual film. She says, but DaCosta was fully cognizant that she'd been hired by a powerful entity to do a job. It's Kevin Feige's production. It's his movie, she says. So I think you live in that reality, but I try to go in with the knowledge that some of you is going to take a back seat. So she didn't really like how they said you have to do X, Y, and Z. That's a complaint a lot of the Marvel directors have, and she's just kind of doing the same, which I think is interesting.
And I think that's why they're winding up with a lot of lackluster directors lately. Because those are the only ones they can get to
the MCU
work the way they want to work.
Yeah, the MCU needs a shake up, needs a little dust off, 100%.
Yeah.
And lastly, Marvel actually had an interview or discussion about Loki season 2, and they actually talked about Jonathan Majors' character at length. They didn't hide away from it. They were like, Victor Tomley is somebody that we are very, very excited about. When you look at Kang, he has a funny comic backstory. He has all these iterations, so they're not run away from Jonathan Majors here, which makes me think that Jonathan Majors' character is going to stay around, even though Jonathan Majors has some legal issues going on. So I thought that was interesting. So, but that's all the news. I mean, what caused the writer's strike right now? We don't have any news.
Yeah.
And I want to tell our listeners that the longer the strike lasts, the more you're going to be watching reruns, which is fun.
Yeah. What's your take on the interconnected nature of the MCU?
I didn't watch Secret Wars, and I haven't watched I haven't watched Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. I didn't watch Eternals.
Anything.
That was a good movie. That was a good movie.
People said it was good.
It's a good movie.
I did not see that.
Secret Wars, however, you don't ever need to watch that. That is the worst thing that they've ever put out.
Really?
It was meaningless from beginning to end.
Yeah.
The interconnectedness is what makes me like the MCU, but I can understand how
it causes lots of problems, and it doesn't need to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's James Gunn did a great thing when he set up, in DC. They've got the DC Elseworlds where they can always have something that's completely disconnected. I think Marvel needs to, it's good to have things connected and kind of tell a big story, but it's, sometimes you need a break, or sometimes the story you're trying to tell doesn't need to be interconnected.
Yeah, I think that Marvel is suffering from oversaturation. They feel the need to not have a gap in time where there's no Marvel new content out there. There's always something new Marvel that's coming, and people just need a break. They need a break, and maybe the writer's strike will help them with that. I mean, you got to think, because people are done, or a lot of people are done with superhero stuff in general. There's just too much superhero stuff out there. We've had it nonstop for 10 years now.
Yeah, 2022 was packed to the brim with Marvel. Yeah, it's
I agree
time
with
for a break.
We'll see how the writer's strikes kind of does that. I kind of agree with you, Gideon, that might be a cure or a salvation that we didn't even know we needed. Gideon, how do you feel about coming back another time with us before Ahsoka's over, either next episode or last? How you feel?
Yeah, that'd be great. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
We loved it.
I would love to talk about sci-fi and stuff like this. So yeah, I'm up for anything you want to do.
Awesome. I'd love to have you back, right, Mike?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. So Mike, how can people spread the news that we have a super guest episode, that we have a great Star Wars Rebels aficionado? How can we share the news with these people so they can know to listen to it and spread far and wide?
Hit that share button right now. Share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your group chats. I think you can also share it on Mastodon and other kind of social networking things with that same share button. Just hit the share button. And if you're so kind as to leave a review for us, wherever you can leave a review, do that. Give us a thumbs up, hit a star button somewhere, do all of those things. We'd really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. We love that. We love that we have a podcast. We love that people love our podcast. We just want more people to love our podcast.
That's right.
And we do have some cool things coming up. We're doing Ahsoka. We're going to do the Marvels when it comes out. We're doing Loki season 2. We're super excited when that comes out. So we got some work to do. It's going to be pretty busy around
Jay, I need you to tease your special guest coming up at the end of Ahsoka a little bit more.
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
He has done some kind of work for Disney, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. I think I might have said too much, actually.
That's a good hint.
That's excellent.
Yeah. All right, Gideon, thanks for showing up. Really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody next week.
Yeah, this was fun. Thank you again.